Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, Swordcast fans? I'm back with my top 10 favorite wrestling matches of 2024. In the previous video, went over matches 10 through 6, and now it's time to cover my top 5 favorite matches of 2024. Let's go. Number 5, Will Ospreay versus Swerve. AEW in New Japan. Forbidden Door. I don't think people understand how dope Swerve really is. I mean, I always think about when he came out dressed as Killmonger from Black Panther the night he won the title off of Samoa Joe at AEW Dynasty, which in my opinion is one of their best pay-per-views ever and one of my favorite wrestling shows of all time, flat out. This right here was a defining title defense for Swerve. After finally winning the AEW championship, the company goes and signs the hottest free agent in all of pro wrestling. How long could they keep Will Ospreay out of the title picture, and was Swerve just a transitional champion? A word we all hate to hear when our favorite wrestler has the strap on him. A storyline that saw Swerve question Ospreay's killer instinct after literally surviving death matches against Adam Hangman Page. This led to a match that proved Swerve was an absolute superstar of a world champion, and that Will Ospreay was everything we thought he was. One of the most important matches in Swerve's AEW run, and one of the best AEW championship matches of all time. Whose house? This match just hits an all-time level for me in its closing stretch that brought the story behind it to life. Kicking out of each other's finishers, Ospreay unwilling to use the weapon, and Swerve indeed proving that he had gone through things Ospreay hadn't, and he would go further in order to win. Number 4, Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. New Japan Pro Wrestling New Beginning. Oh man. The perfect technical masterpiece. No crazy story, no title, no stipulation, just absolute proper grabs from the best technical wrestlers of all time. I loved their match at Wrestle Dream last year, but they hit a different level this time. Danielson being the clear heel added an element that wasn't in the ingredients of their Wrestle Dream match. Perhaps even better chemistry than before. The counters were endless, and the closing stretch had me believing Danielson was going to go 2-0 against Zack Sabre Jr. This match started off more as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament match feel. Just the amount of technical grappling and submission attempts and counters, and then it sort of dissolved into them striking and beating the crap out of each other. This match had a level of intensity that their previous match didn't, and it just hit a new level. I really loved their Wrestle Dream match, but this was better in my opinion. And for the type of wrestling that I gravitate towards the most, this was my jam. Number 3, Bryan Danielson versus Swerve. AEW All In for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. An emotional masterclass in storytelling while still maintaining the quality of an in-ring spectacle. Bryan Danielson, in my opinion, is maybe the greatest pro wrestler of all time, and this was the perfect way to top off his ridiculous AEW run. His run in AEW always reminds me of what Bret Hart in WCW could have been. Just the best wrestler on the planet, going to a new company and just knocking off a bunch of dream matches, and in the process wrestling at a level that fans hadn't seen in years. The moment where Danielson was eating those kicks from Swerve while yelling "I love you" to his family at ringside was an all-time high as far as storytelling goes in wrestling for me. Let's not overlook Swerve. In my opinion, Swerve was just as good at what he does as Danielson was here. The perfect champion, the perfect enemy, the perfect final wall for Danielson to run through to get to his family on the other side. This is a classic in front of one of the biggest and best crowds in pro wrestling history. Danielson winning the AEW championship was inevitable, and it finally happened here. Number 2, Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Wrestle Kingdom 18. I'll never take for granted that one of my biggest dreams in pro wrestling came true in 2024. Bryan Danielson wrestling a big match against one of the best wrestlers on the planet in my favorite show of all time, Wrestle Kingdom. A dream match needs more than just the sake of wrestling each other just because, and this time there was so much more. Danielson out for revenge and Okada out for redemption. This match was everything I love about pro wrestling. It was technical, it was brutal, it told a story, and the atmosphere of the Tokyo Dome on January 4th was excellent. The first dream match encounter between these two ended up falling short of incredibly high expectations due to Bryan Danielson breaking his arm during the match. But this time there was so much more to it than just dream match. Bryan Danielson had a score to settle with Okada after suffering an injury in their first match. His goal? Revenge. Destroy the arm of Okada so he can never throw another Rainmaker. Okada had goals of his own. Avenge the loss he suffered in their first encounter and destroy the recovering orbital bone fracture Danielson was hiding under an eye patch. And that eye patch? My goodness, what a sick look for Danielson. He just looks crazy. This is perfect wrestling. What was technical mastery on behalf of Danielson soon transformed into violent brutality as he targeted Okada's arm with some nasty submissions and some of the best kicks in wrestling. Okada would also trade technical wrestling for brutality, tearing off Danielson's eye patch as he targeted the orbital bone fracture. I could go into specific moments and spots, but I would talk about this forever. I think I'm higher on this match than a lot of other people, and sometimes Wrestle Kingdom matches get lost in the shuffle because they happen so early in the year. But this was a 5-star banger, two of the greatest of all time, delivering on a huge stage with huge expectations. I loved this, and I knew it'd be standing in the match of the year conversation when 2024 was said and done. Number 1, Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay, AEW Dynasty. This match was already included in a previous video I did for my top 10 favorite matches of all time. So I'm probably just gonna repeat that same summary, but check that video out as well. Two generational masters of the craft at entirely different points in their careers. Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay surpassed my ridiculous expectations. I was fully expecting them to put on an all-time classic, but oh man, that might have been one of my top 5 favorite matches in the history of pro wrestling. Looking back on the video I did before, it came in at number 2, so there it is. Incredible. There was no doubt that these two would put on an unforgettable performance. The crowd was electric from the moment the bell rang, an exhilarating clash of styles. Danielson's stiff, grounded in technical prowess meets Ospreay's unmatched athleticism and strength. The counters were flawless. Danielson's out here pulling out bridging tiger suplexes in his 40s, then the absolutely insane avalanche tiger suplex. This match was legendary, a masterpiece, and the definition of both these guys. Match of the year and maybe match of the decade. The crowd chant of "We're not worthy" perfectly encapsulates the feeling that this match gave me. The hidden blade versus the Busaiku knee finishing sequence was exhilarating. All-timer. I think this might be the best match ever on US soil, in my opinion. Pro wrestling. I love it. With this officially being Bryan Danielson's final year as a full-time performer, he went out in a way that I'm not sure anyone else could. He just wrestles in the style that I gravitate towards the most, so to see that style represented at this level on a stage like this was special for me. My favorite match of the year and one of my favorite matches ever. All right, y'all, that's it. My top 10 favorite matches of 2024. Check out part 1 so you guys can see matches 10 through 6. This was my top 5. I'll probably do a few more wrestling videos here and there. You guys know how much I love wrestling. Make sure you guys tune into the Swordcast. Thanks for checking the videos out. Peace.